Hello, Infinite Hope here, borrowing an idea of Quantum Jokers to recap 2009's movies, but I'm going to recap the good, the dumb but harmless, and the bad. I'm going to go in reverse order, so I'm going to start with the least good movie first, and then go to the best good movie last, and do the same for all the other movies. The worst dumb but harmless movie, and then the best dumb but harmless movie, and the worst the least harmless bad movie, and then the worst bad movie at the end. So and then also I'm gonna have some honorable mentions of movies that are interesting but not quite fall in the category of good or bad. Okay, so an honorable mention for good: Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. A very good visual film. I'm not familiar with the original story. I don't know how much they stuck to it, but I thought it was very good for what it was. I really like that they had Mr. T as a character, and I really hope that Mr. T gets more voice work. He is always fun to listen to. He's got an outstanding voice, and I would like to see him as a main role next time. Now for just the good movies: Monsters vs. Aliens. A good movie, not a great movie. Plot was pretty much, there. The visuals were good, and I enjoyed it. I mean, it was just a really overall good movie. It was what I expected, and it was funny. The best movie of this year, and perhaps the best movie I've seen in a long, long time, is Up. Up is, simply put, a masterpiece. Hands down, a masterpiece. Up is about life. The bookends of the movie are sad. Both the beginning and the ending are sad. The ending is, I think you could argue that the ending is less sad than the beginning. Um, but the beginning is absolutely necessary to this movie, and the whole plot of the movie is just enjoyable. The characters are enjoyable. The villain is enjoyable. Everything about this movie builds and builds and builds, peaks, then builds some more, and then winds down just where you want everything to be at the end. Brilliantly done, brilliantly written, beautiful movie. Up is a masterpiece. Moving on, but to dumb but harmless. Frequently asked questions about time travel is a dumb time travel movie that if you tried to make sense of it, your head would explode. The movie doesn't ever attempt to try to make sense of itself, but uses time travel as a gimmick to tell some really bad jokes that, in my opinion, make no sense. But it's not an American produced comedy, so maybe it's just a cultural thing. I do appreciate some of the things that they did with time travel that were interesting, but most of them were pretty predictable for me. So overall, a dumb but harmless movie. Alvin and the Chipmunks: The Squeakquel. Yet again, a live-action film based on a cartoon where the live-action fails and the cartoon did way better. If you want to watch an Alvin and Chipmunks versus the Chipettes film, watch the one where they're in hot air balloons running around the world in a race. That one is far more entertaining than this one. This one was boring and predictable, and I knew what was coming from the start to the end. Also, it was just really kind of weird how sexy they tried to make the Chipettes be. But, there's some people that are really into that sort of stuff. I'm not one of them. G-Force. You don't go into a movie about gerbils doing spy-type things expecting anything good. And G-Force is one of those films where you're just like, why am I watching this? And the fart jokes, are one too many in my opinion. But it's harmless. It's dumb, but it's harmless. I can't say it's enjoyable to watch, but it's not like you're gonna gouge your eyes out bad. Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs, a disappointing cap off to this franchise of Ice Age. They're really overusing the squirrel, and again, what is up with making the female animals like really super sexy? I really don't understand that, but it's nothing new, but it just seems like they're doing that an awful lot lately. This movie is the worst in the Ice Age franchise, and in my opinion, they should have just ended it at 2. It's dumb, but it's also harmless. Land of the Lost. If you want to watch the Land of the Lost television series, there was 2 of them, and both of them are better than this movie. This movie has absolutely nothing to do with Land of the Lost. But it's not a bad movie because I wasn't really expecting it to be good. If I had been expecting it to be good, then it would have fallen into my bad category. But out of all the dumb but harmless ones, this one has to be the least dumb but harmless, in my opinion. Let's move on to the bads. An honorable mention goes out to Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. I watched probably a minute of this before deciding to watch something else and do something better with my time. I can't even talk about this film, but I know it's bad. At the bottom of my list of bad is Star Trek. Should be at the top because it hurts Star Trek, but I'm not even going to consider it as a Star Trek movie. I'm going to pull a confused Matthew and pretend that this movie just doesn't exist as a Star Trek movie. Maybe the sequel will be better, I don't know. There definitely will be a sequel, but this one is just bad. I'm going to pretend it's a sci-fi movie called Space Odyssey 101 and refer to it as such from now on. Space Odyssey 101 was a boring sci-fi movie and also had Leonard Nimoy in it for no apparent reason. Inkheart. Inkheart's a bad movie. It's a waste of your time. It's boring, it's dull, it's stupid. If you want to see the premise of Inkheart done like a million times better, watch Stranger Than Fiction. Inkheart is boring, predictable, useless, pointless, dumb. It's just a bad movie. X-Men Origins Wolverine. Why? Why? Why make this movie? Seriously, why? I don't know. But this movie is stupid, and it's dumb, and it's boring, and it's far too violent, and the special effects suck. And now, for the worst movie of all time. This movie ruins everything. Everything. Not just itself, but everything else. Dragon Ball Evolution. Yes, I'm going to talk about this movie again, because it's that bad. Let me just give you a brief overview of why this movie is so bad. So the characters fall into a giant hole. They're there all night long, and then Master Roshi jumps out of the hole and tells the character that made them fall into the hole that they can't waste any time and to get them out of the hole. You can't waste any time, but you took all night to jump out of the hole. Okay, that's stupid. Then later on, they're at a giant volcano, and the Dragon Ball is on the other side. Gee, I wish they had somebody that could jump really high, so they could just, have that character jump across the lava and grab the Dragon Ball and jump back. That would save a lot of time. That would have been a smart move. This movie is not about being smart. The villain sends creatures that the hero then defeats, and then throws into the lava, and the creatures float on hot lava. And then he uses them as stepping stones. This is the stupidest movie ever made. I hate this movie so much. Please, for the love of humanity, get this movie out of existence. Burn every copy of this movie. Dragon Ball Evolution is the worst movie ever made. This movie sucks. I can't believe they made this movie. There's just no words that could go into how stupid this movie is. I'm just, this. So that's the year in review. A lot of bad movies and only 3 good movies. Here's hoping that 2010 is better as long as the world doesn't end. Right, Panic Robot? Oh no, the world, oh no, panic, the world.